So when the Smith & Wesson Shield 2.0 came out, they gave it a crisper trigger, some more aggressive texturing, and kind of just a refresh. Today we finally get to look at the Performance Center version of the Shield 2.0. Coming up next on GBGuns. Some of you might be looking at this box and wondering why it's so long. It seems like it's cut out for potentially a long revolver or something. I was puzzled as well, and that's because of this little kit that came in it. Pretty nice touch. You see it's got the Performance Center logo on there. Kind of a soft hard case, if you will. Look at that. Full cleaning kit. You even got your patches in there. Brush, pick, jags, press brushes, and pistol length rod. I think that was a pretty nice touch. But let's not get distracted with that. Looking inside for our manual, it's the standard Smith & Wesson black, gray, red, and white coloring, but gives you examples of what's wrong and what's right. And they're detailed well enough. Paperwork out of the way. Here's the gun. Get the box out of the way, and let's get into it. So, as with most Smith & Wessons, check for clear. You can see we're clear there. We have a lot of different sight options and the idea or opportunity to have a manual safety or not. A whole lot of different things out there. Since my regular Shield 2.0 had the standard sights and no external safety, I figured I'd try one with and the fiber optics because that's what Maddie likes to shoot, and I thought the two-tone red and green was a really good idea. Let's see what this trigger's like. Wall, break, reset, about part way, break. Nice and clean. Very clean trigger. Mag out of that. Now it did come with the 8-round mag in it. The 7-round mag is in the box. That's the more flush-fitting one. I like 8 because I can get all 3 fingers on there, which for a small single stack 9 is a positive thing. Let's do our walk around the gun. As always, we start up front. And before another one of you says something, I do not film this with my eyeballs. This gun is not pointed at my face. Okay? I'm so tired of people saying stuff. Alright, so up and down and left to right, we've got no movement. People have asked me why I do that. Do that because that is in contact with the barrel. So if the slide is going to settle higher or lower between shots, or left to right between shots, it may or may not impact accuracy a little bit. Now, of course, a little single stack like this is a defensive gun, not for shooting target, but who doesn't enjoy shooting accurately? It appears from here, with the minimal movement that we have, this is probably going to be accurate enough. No rail on the front, but I'm sure Crimson Trace will have an integrated if they don't already. You see we've got our takedown lever, slide stop or release, easily within reach, and the safety is very flush fitting. So that's a positive or negative. It's not going to get bumped off or on. It's very definite. So you can hear it. Very definitive click. So there's not going to be any kind of accidental soft off or on. Also means you're going to have to get used to knocking it off with your draw. But I don't think it's going to accidentally go on. You got to really get some pressure on there. The safety does not prohibit operation of the slide. It just gives you a locked trigger. Texturing is the same newer Smith & Wesson 2.0 texturing, not as aggressive as on the compact. Keeping it a little slicker since these guns tend to ride tight to the body. I appreciate that. Here's our sight picture once more with the fiber optic option. And slide to frame, we got a little bit of space in the back. And then coming on the right side of the gun. You might notice right up front, we've got those 3 holes there, and they match with the ported barrel. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of flash we get out of these. Those of you not familiar with why a barrel would be ported, the concept is, especially with the gases going up now in that V angle, is that they help mitigate against rise. So gases, while they're still pushing behind the bullet hasn't quite left, gases jet up, pushes down on the gun about the same time, you're going to start to feel some rise. to make it a little flatter. We'll do some slow motion comparison of the two to see if it makes any difference for any of us. Other than that, we've got the Performance Center labeling on there to make it clear that this was a factory performance gun versus the standard lettering. Still subtle enough that it's not going to scream at anyone. Next, we'll field strip the gun and take a look inside. Field stripping the Shield 2.0 Performance Center is really like most Smith & Wessons. The Performance Center doesn't affect the field strip procedure at all. We lock the slide to the rear, which evidently makes it really obvious, and it gives you one more chance to make sure the gun is clear. We rotate our takedown lever down. Now we're going to release the slide, pull the trigger, and the slide comes right off. Looking inside, we can see we have nice polished, bright and clean trigger bar. No excess flashing in the plastic molding. Sometimes you end up with rough edges. Very cleanly, professionally done. Move our dual spring recoil assembly. These are nice because they tend to be at 2 different rates, and that helps make the gun still easy to rack and cycle, but takes a little bit of the bite out of the end of the recoil with that stiffer spring as the slide comes to the rear. Take our barrel out. Nice pretty barrel with those ports. Polish on the feed ramp. I'm going to assume full chamber support, but we'll check, as we always do, with our nozzler match. Drop a round in. And what we're looking at here is how well the brass is supported. See, there's a little bit of space underneath, which has to happen, but supported all the way around. That, for those of you who question why, I check. Earlier Glocks were not fully supported, and if you're running cheap ammunition, or especially reloaded ammunition, anytime when the casing might fail, some of the pressure is going to jet out through the back, usually down through the magazine well, hopefully not harming you, but it can ruin your day, be an unpleasant surprise. Fully supported chamber, less chances of that happening and everything erupting into your hand. Instead, it'll erupt out the barrel as it should. Looking in the slide, beautifully machined, very clean, nicely done, Smith & Wesson. Get this back together. When we take it out to the range, we will of course do our what's for dinner test, run the gamut of ammo flavors that we have, which include steel cased, aluminum cased, brass case, nickel plated brass, hollow points, truncated bullets, round nose, all kinds of stuff ranging in weight, sometimes as light as 65 grains and as heavy as 165 grain, to see how things run in the gun. Of course, we'll also be looking to see how these ports affect perceived recoil. Should be an interesting time. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Performance Center 2.0. If any of you have the Performance Center 1.0, or any concepts as to what this gun should or shouldn't be, please let me know in the comments below, and we'll get out to the range. Thanks for watching.